Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are back from the break. How are you guys feeling at home? We are at 8 minutes past 8 a.m., which means our first hour is already gone. And as promised, we are having our first lounge, our first conversation of the day. And I am excited. I am elated because I have with me not one, but two doctors on set, inspired already. I want them to say hello. Then we will dive into our conversation of the day. As prompted earlier, we are talking matters International Women's Day, and of course closing the gender bias. I have Dr. Sarah and Dr. Regina with me on set. I want them to say hello and we will dive right in. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
How are you guys doing?
Fine, thank you.
Yes, I want us to start right here from Dr. Sarah, and just tell me, how are you doing this morning?
I'm very fine, thank you. How are you? Yeah. As you've been told, my name is Dr. Sarah, a lecturer in the Department of Sociology, Gender and Development Studies, Kenyatta University.
Yes.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yes, it is a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So moving on, Dr. Regina.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Regina Mwatha. I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Sociology, Gender and Development Studies, and I'm also the KUTV Hub project leader. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I want us to start from right there to build this conversation up. I want you to tell me about KUTV Hub. What is the hub about?
KUTV Hub is a hub that has local and international networks. It's based in the university.
Yes.
But its work is to actually carry out research which provides gender data and women's data to the nation by ensuring that the data is used for policy advisories for policy. So we create a lot of policy briefs to the Ministry for Public Service, Gender, and we are in connection with them. We work with them.
Yes.
There are three themes currently at the hub where we are looking at women in the economy. We also have another, and there we have about 5 studies. I won't go into detail. The second theme looks at women's mentoring and skilling.
Yes.
And there we have about 3 studies. And the third theme looks at barriers to women's productivity.
Yes, amazing. I like that. How long has KUTV Hub been in existence?
This is the second year.
This is the second year.
Yeah, so the first year we spent time writing the proposals. This second year we are actually in the field piloting and carrying out the research.
Yes, amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the conversation that we are having here. These are what makes policies work. I don't know if you guys know what works behind, what is the work that is done behind the scenes of policy making, but these ladies are here to explain exactly that. So you are here because tomorrow is International Women's Day. We have a lot of audiences watching from all over the world, all over the country. So the first would be a simple question to Dr. Sarah. What is International Women's Day, and why is it important to have one in the first place?
Thank you very much. International Women's Day is actually a day when we commemorate the achievements, the strides that have been made by women in the social, cultural, political, economic spheres.
Yes.
And of course, just also looking at, like taking a look at where we've come from, where we are, and what we can do to actually just make this world a better place for women and men and our children generally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing. So this would mean that we are not just celebrating. By celebrating women, we celebrate the entire community.
Yes.
Yes. I like that. Dr. Regina, do you think that International Women's Day is given its due place in the country as Kenya, because this is where we are, is the International Women's Day given its due place?
I think, yes, it is given its due place. First of all, the Kenya government reports to the Commission on the Status of Women in New York, starting the 8th of March, where the minister or the CS reports to the international world on what Kenya has been doing and has gained and the challenges that Kenya is facing. At the paper that actually the minister presents is written by civil society, private sector, and the government.
Yes.
Locally, the International Women's Day is marked in various counties as well as at the national level.
Yeah.
So it is given its due status.
It's a due status in the country. I love that. We are talking, you are involved in a lot of gender equality matters and talks and conversation. Why is it important, to tell it to a millennial who is 16, 17, or someone who is watching, who has been probably a woman who is 35 at home and wondering, why do we keep having talks on gender equality? Why is it important, Dr. Sarah?
Having discussions around gender equality are important because it is at the core of development. Equality is about according men and women equal opportunities, equal responsibilities, equal rights. So if we are to participate in development, then we need to have access and control to resources equally. So basically, women, men need to be accorded equality in all these spheres for them to participate fairly. So it is important because at the end of the day, we are looking at all sectors of development where women are at the center. And basically, without being facilitated, without being given the push to do it, then we shall be taking 50 steps forward and 20 backwards because women are not in that conversation. Women are not facilitated. Since the beginning of time, Dr. Regina, of these gender equality conversations, do you feel like we have made progress? Are women in better places in terms of gender equality than they were probably 20 years ago or 30 years ago?
I think so. We've made a lot of progress. If you recall, if I just look at political leadership, which is at the helm right now, if you look at political leadership and look at the first parliament in this country, there was no woman. Yet we had a woman at the Legicor who represented Kenya. But when it came to leadership, there was none. And for a long time, until 1969 is when we had the first woman. Then as late as just before the Constitution 2010, we had only 16 women in Parliament. But with the Constitution 2010, you can see the numbers increased tremendously. We have 47 women in Senate. Last elections, we had 3 governors who are women. There were a number of women parliamentarians. So that is increasing the number. When you go to the MCAs, that again you find quite a number of women, both elected and nominated. And all this is because of the existing legislation that enables these numbers to be there. Again, when you go to the appointments that are there in the country, cabinet secretaries, all appointed positions, you find that there is quite a huge increase, what I would call inclusion, because you find women with disability, you find men with disability, and there's a lot of inclusion. I want actually to mention recently, we had in the Commission on the Human Rights Commission, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, on inclusions, we had one of the commissioners who is intersex included in the commission. He's male, but it all talks about inclusion. Thank you.
Amazing. I like the progress that has come with time, but like Dr. Sarah was saying here, there is still a lot to do so that when we move these 50 steps forward, we keep we keep moving forward. I want us to get to the research that the KU Hub, you ladies are conducting, which is in line with the International Women's Day. The theme of this year is Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow, which is very in line with that. So what is the title of the research?
I can take that.
Yes.
Yeah, our research, which is one of the researchers within the hub,
Yes.
looks at increasing women's participation in leadership
Yes.
and management positions, trying to close the gender gap.
Yes.
Why? Because research has shown that as much as we have made the strides that Dr. has talked about, we are still underrepresented. In some sectors, it's quite notable that women are being seen to participate.
Yes.
But overall, women are still lacking. So we are looking at increasing these numbers to 30%
Yes.
by the year 2025, which is actually the lifespan of our research.
Yes.
Yeah, in all the sectors, women participating in leadership, in management positions, in all sectors by 30%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now that would take me to Dr. Regina asking, who is an empowered woman? By that 2025, what will an empowered woman look like?
Well, an empowered woman is one who is accessible
Yes.
to resources. She's in control of resources,
Yes.
is able to make key decisions at the household level,
Yes.
at the community level,
Yes.
and she's also being seen to be making key decisions at the national level.
Yes.
So when you see women lined up at those levels, we are coming from a space where women have to seek permission to cut a tree that they planted.
Yes.
At the household level. So at the point where she's able to make a decision that I want to cut this tree,
Yes.
I want to plant another one, and
Yes.
I'll sell that as firewood or as timber,
Yes.
then she's an empowered woman.
Yes.
She can make decisions related to finances, related to children accessing school or not accessing school.
Yes.
She's not experiencing barriers that women go through, for instance, domestic violence.
Yes.
If she goes through it, she's able to make a decision on what will happen.
Yes.
If she experiences sexual harassment at work, she's able to know exactly what to do
Yes.
to deal with that matter without being prejudiced, and the matter being dealt with fairly and with justice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that image, because I like the fact that you have started right from the household and then all the way to national issues, because we are there, we are everywhere, starting from the grassroots all the way up. So I like that. Then that would be, you have mentioned something about barriers, which would make me ask Dr. Sarah about this. What are some of the barriers that are hindering women to actually participate in management in the workplaces? What are some of those issues?
Women actually face a myriad of barriers.
Yeah.
And they start from the household. And basically what women go through is culturally instigated. Some of it is economically instigated, politically, socially. So basically, at the end of the day, a woman is facing a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
Economically, just to add on what Dr. has said,
Yeah.
A woman who has no access to resources,
Yes.
she may not be able to make decisions,
Yes.
decisions about herself,
Yes.
as much as she wants to be in a certain space. But because she's economically impaired,
Yes.
she will not make decisions for herself and for her family.
Yes.
So we have economic barriers, cultural barriers, and sometimes even when the facilitation is there,
Yes.
for those who have been facilitated to be where they are still held back by those cultural barriers, where to some extent you still want validation from where you're coming from.
Exactly.
Because you cannot, as a woman seeking a political position, for instance, you still need permission from your household, from your husband.
Yes.
And if you're not doing that, then a profiling is done on you on whether you're single, you're married,
Yes.
and where you're coming from, who you've been with. So basically, these are barriers that are happening daily.
Yeah.
But for one now to overcome this, they have to have that sense
Yes.
of self-worth. Can you do that without being feeling like you're operating in a biased
Yes.
space? So many socially, culturally, politically,
Yeah.
if we go into it, it's actually a conversation for an entire day.
different
Yes.
discussion, but we are trying to bridge that barrier, which is what we are doing by this conversation today. Then an interesting aspect comes up to Dr. Regina. Are we our own enemies? Because now, apart from the political, the cultural, issues and discouragements, it is also said that women are their own enemies. Is that true?
Before I answer that question, may I add that care work is something we overlook, and it is a major barrier to women's work.
Yes.
Care work, care for the sick.
Yes.
They take care of the sick, they take care of the children, they are in charge of the household. So care work is something that we need to look at so that then a woman is freed to engage in productive work.
Yes.
And care work falls under what we call the reproductive role. But let's go to our own enemies. I don't think so.
Yes.
There are very many times we have seen men disagree on principle, strongly disagree, and we don't say they are their own enemies. Why are women not supposed to disagree on principle?
Yes.
We too are human beings.
Yes.
We need to be able to disagree on principle.
Yes.
And we move on. So we are not our own enemies. We only disagree like the men do.
Yes.
And we move on.
Exactly. So we should be given that opportunity to disagree, and it not being dubbed or tagged as being our own enemies.
Exactly. And women are not all the same. We are different.
Yes.
And we have different experiences. So we may not always agree.
Exactly.
But we respect each other.
Yes. Amazing. I like that. I like that clarification. We are, from the simplest of things, we are different people. We were raised from very different backgrounds. So of course we are bound to have different opinions. So we can have that agreeably and without it being termed as being our own enemies. How is Kenya doing in terms of gender equality? How are we moving in terms of gender equality in comparison to other African nations?
I can say that Kenya has made quite some tremendous strides.
Yes.
We are not yet quite there, but we are getting there.
Yes.
With conversations such as this, and with women occupying spaces that were never occupied before. We can now talk about women CEOs.
Yes.
We can talk about women directors. And when you look at their performance, they're doing very well.
Yes.
We are getting there, but what we're saying is we need, you hear men saying the tyranny of numbers.
Yes.
They move things because there's the tyranny of numbers. So we want the tyranny of numbers when it comes to women, so that we have a voice, an agency. When we're talking of a gender perspective, for me, I believe the woman knows better what she wants for herself than when it is told for her.
Yes.
So we need the numbers. We are not yet quite there, but we are making the strides that we need to get there.
Yes, we are making good progress.
Yes.
Then as I was going through the research that you are conducting, I came upon a very interesting link between gender equality and climate change. And these are some of the things I thought were very a world apart. This is talking environment. This other one is talking about gender equality. So Dr. Regina, what is the link between climate change and gender equality?
Thank you. Women have a very close or intimate relationship with climate.
Yes.
Women are the ones who are in the agricultural land. They grow the crops. They may not own the crop.
Yes.
They may not own the land.
Yes.
but they tend the rivers, the forest.
Yes.
They deal with water. They deal with soil.
Yes.
That's where we are saying that we are seeing changes. For instance, when water just disappears because it dried up, so will they grow any crops?
Yes.
They won't. So there's a very intimate relationship between women and climate change and climate
and climate
products
change.
of the earth, you know, and therefore they are very highly impacted by climate change and negatively so impacted because when cash crops are affected that we grow, you can imagine that the access, you know, they in Kenya, they only own 1% of the land.
Yes.
Only 1% women own land.
Yes.
That's an important statistic.
Yes.
So if only 1% own land, then the others are accessing land. They are accessing food crops as well as cash crops and tending over them. But when climate change has its impact, they lose out even more because then men begin encroaching on the food crops that they control. For example, they may start accessing the beans and the maize. I'm giving those examples for the agricultural areas, for the arid areas. They may start accessing the goats, and you know, because they are not the men are not now in control of the bigger livestock. And this means that it has implications on the lives of women and children.
Exactly. That is a shocking statistic that only 1% of women actually own land. I thought that would be better. I hope that we will improve in the coming, you know, you will own some property, own some land. So let's get in and get our hands dirty and ask Dr. Sarah, what are some of the practical ways that we can actually break this gender bias, which I believe is the purpose of this study, to find solutions so that as we make policies, then these solutions can be included in this policy making. So what are some of those practical ways that we can break gender bias?
One way, there are several ways that we can actually break the bias. First of all, as scholars, as researchers, we're looking at influencing policy. And you see, a lot can happen when the right policies are in place and if they're implemented. So one way is to have policies. Of course, we have policies already, and some of them are not working well because they have not been implemented fully. So we want to look at a situation where policies that talk about inclusivity are being implemented in the different sectors of development. The other thing is facilitate the woman, you know, like Dr. said, they are at the center of literally everything. You know, they cook, they till, they tend, and they have that intimate relationship. And so whatever decision that is made, they have to be included. And inclusivity in terms of making it easier for them to access education, for them to access healthcare facilities, for them to access political positions, for them to occupy positions that are influential, not just you know, women are there, but they tend to occupy the lower cadre. They are in development processes, but they're occupying the lower cadre. But we want them in places where they can speak. And their decisions are taken into consideration. So that is the only way we shall actually close the gap and break the barrier. You know, just deal with the bias.
Exactly. I feel like what you're trying to bring out very clearly is let the woman say what she wants. Let her be in the position of saying, or rather, instead of someone saying, I think this is what women want, let the woman be in the position of saying, this is what I want. Exactly. I like that. I want us to move on to the political scene for a bit, because we are in the election year. And how can we, you know, how as some of the ideas that we can give to Kenyans, because we are preparing ourselves to vote. We are taking in a lot of political information, a lot of influence from left, right, and center. How do we curtail our citizens, to break the bias and vote a woman in an MCA seat, MP, let us see senators who are women? How can we break that bias in terms of politics and election this year? Dr. Sarah, I think you can. No, Dr. Regina, let's answer. Let's have that from you.
Thank you. I think it's very important to focus on the political party.
Yes.
The political party is the driver.
Yes.
Of whether women get into positions of power or not.
Yes.
So political party primaries must be very cognizant of both affirmative action and gender mainstreaming.
Yes.
And even like now, we are seeing a lot of political parties coming together to form a big umbrella to ensure that women do not lose out in that merging. That women are also supported by the political party to run for certain positions. That as we are speaking from the political party perspective, that so and so is running for this position. Let us be equally vocal about women running, not for the woman rep or for the senator only, but in the competitive positions, the gubernatorial, the senatorial at the competitive level, and the MP and the MCA at the competitive level, and the political party actually pushing the woman for that. But even more so, we saw a tactic that worked very well for Kenya in 2017, where men who have the clout actually went out and campaigned for for women in their political party. That would work well again for Kenya, because men have clout in this country. So as they speak for themselves, let them also speak for the women in their political parties. That's the one. That's the political party side. The other side is continuous education for the voters. That it is important to vote women, because when we don't vote women, then it has a tax implication on us as voters. In terms of when we do the nominations. To fill in numbers. It's our taxes that are paying them. So we need to elect them so that then we are not having very huge numbers being elected. So education to the voter for that. And we need in this country to actually calculate what it costs, so that then the taxpayer knows that this is what I am doing when I don't vote women into power, when I don't even vote women with disability into power.
So to actually be woke, to understand the implication behind me voting for a woman or me voting at all, because we are still having that fight. In this time and era, we are still having fights on, are you voting or not?
Exactly. Yeah, so it's also about am I voting? It's also about including voting for young women. So that there is inclusivity.
Amazing. My next question then would be, I think, Dr. Sarah, I can allow you to add a little bit onto that, because I believe there are a lot of groups, like Dr. Regina has said, there are women with disability, there are women probably dealing with issues such as autism. There's so many groups that we need to be aware of and be aware of the advantages of voting them in, or even our tax implication, like Dr. Regina has said. So do you have anything to add on that?
What I would say is that, being a woman already is a disadvantage. You're already operating in a space that is not fair. So if you have a disability, then the problem is just exacerbated. So if you're coming from a hardship area, then it even becomes worse. So what we're saying is that women know themselves. They know. They carry the bigger burden of their families, their households, and the nation. even though we tend to think that they are not doing as much because we have not quantified what they do.
Yes.
But if you put them in a space where they can practically do their thing without having to face a lot of challenges,
Yes.
then it actually even reduces the burden on the economy, because an empowered woman is actually reducing the cost of having to deal with issues at the national level.
Exactly.
A healthy woman taking care of a healthy family, then of course the problem is reduced by a half.
Exactly.
So basically, if we vote women in, we empower them, give them the agency, the voice, just facilitate them, then at the end of the day, it's only that we've not done it, but once we do it, then we shall wish we had done it many years ago, because we shall be living a different kind of a lifestyle.
We will begin to see the fruits of the decisions that we are
make.
making.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And the next question then would be, what is the role of, and this one, I already have the answer, because number one is this conversation that we are having right here, but what is the role of scholars like yourself in advancing the conversation on gender equality and climate change? Of course, one of it is coming to such forums and having such conversation, but what is the role of scholars like yourself and many other, because you are many, the field is very huge. What is the role of scholars like yourself in advancing these conversations? Dr. Regina.
Thank you. I think one of the contributions of scholars is generation of gender data.
Yes.
In fact, if you listen to the World Forum, CSW, CEDAW, when African countries report, one of the problems we have is lack of gender data, and lack of data related to women. We say women are facing this. What are the statistics?
Yes.
So it's our business to produce the statistics and help in bridging the weaknesses between policy and data. Government will always ask, where is the data?
Exactly.
It's our business to produce that data.
Yes.
But again, as scholars and as practitioners, you find we are in different spheres. We are in Kefri, we are in Kari, and all that.
Yes.
And there's a lot of work going on the ground related to forest cover, value chains. So it is important not only to speak about women at the area where we are doing forest cover, we are doing water, improving water systems, but also the importance of bringing women within that value chain.
Yes.
If you look at, for instance, the forest value chain, you find they plant trees, but they are not, they harvest, they participate in harvesting honey, but they are not in the higher value chain where honey is being sold.
Exactly.
They get left behind.
Yes.
How we get them to be engaged is very important, and bringing that conversation as educated women to the policy table, so that then we are looking deeper and scrutinizing further along each value chain on what is happening, the market systems. Where are the women? When we talk about transformative leadership, where are the women? Are they engaged, or are they just there?
Yes, amazing. I like that. I believe, Dr. Baraza, you have something to add on that, because you are the scholars in this field. So add on to that.
My colleague has actually put it very well.
Yes.
All we do is we try to generate evidence, so that when policies are being formulated, they are actually evidence-based.
Yes.
And that way, you're not missing the mark.
Yes.
And like she said, they are always asking for, where is the data?
Yes.
So we generate data that is disaggregated, sex disaggregated data, saying if we are saying women are underrepresented, if women are owning just 1% of the land and 5% have access, but have no control, where is the evidence?
Exactly.
That is what we bring to the table to inform policy formulation implementation and implementation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that because you're handling that problem from the root. I feel like when we start there, it may take some time to see the fruits, but we will see the fruits after we have made the right decisions. And as we conclude, what is your vision? Where do you see empowered women in 5 years, in 10 years after we have these policies have been implemented, after a voter at home has voted the right person, the right woman, because now they have this information with them? Where do you see empowered women in terms of leadership and management in Kenya in the next 5-10 years?
Well, we see, and we have a vision,
yes,
where we are dealing with more equal society,
yes,
where there is more equity.
Mm-hmm.
There is, when we talk about equity, we also talk about justice, and women are accessing both productive resources like land,
yes,
but they are also making key decisions.
Yes.
They are influencing. They also have the economic power,
Yeah.
the purchasing power.
Yes.
Because one of the biggest problems women have is purchasing power.
Yes.
And then at the decision level,
Yes.
when we have more women, we hope that gender will be better mainstreamed
Exactly.
in all programs,
Yes.
in all policies, in legislation.
Yes.
That when there are parliamentary debates, both at Senate and the National Assembly, that the issues of gender will be flowing through, where men and women are freely scrutinizing the gender
Yes.
mainstreaming
Yes.
within those legislation, within all policy,
Yeah.
so that then we are not arguing and counter-arguing the way we've been doing in the last 5 years on the 2/3 of either gender.
Exactly.
That it flows without a lot of hustle and bustle.
Exactly. I like that. Where are we seeing the women? Because we are concluding. Where are we seeing women, empowered women, in the next 5 years?
I want to look at it slightly differently.
Yes.
We are already operating in a space where men have it.
Yes.
And it's actually just beefing on what she said.
Yes.
Men being the gatekeepers
Yes.
of the social order.
Yes.
They've always made decisions.
Yes.
They've always driven the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also looking at having them support women. And of course, once they do that, then we are not jostling over space.
Exactly.
Because they know a woman's contribution is it's complementary.
Exactly.
Not out to actually fight what they have gained over the years. So
Yes.
basically, we are just looking at having men support the agenda and support the woman and put her in a place where she can actually participate fairly
Yes.
and equitably to this agenda of development, which affects all of us at
Exactly.
the end of the day.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. Our time is far much gone. So I want to ask a few last questions. What are the future plans, one, for this research and for WeHub in general? What are you guys planning to work on? Because this is going to be done in the year 2025. Of course, I believe after that there's going to be many more studies. So what does the future look like for such studies on gender equality and climate change?
I think the future is very clear for the hub. We look at a future where government consults
Yes.
Kenyatta University Women's Economic
Yes.
Hub for any data
Yeah.
that is women related,
Yes.
and any gender statistics, that is the place
Yes.
that they come to, the private sector as well as the civil society.
Yes, I like that. The future looks promising, which is all we can hope for and look for. How are you planning to celebrate now International Women's Day tomorrow? What are the plans?
Tomorrow we
Yes.
have planned for an activity that is physical. The university is going to be hosting, we have, through the WeHub,
Yes.
requested the Chief Justice,
Yeah.
who is also the President of the Supreme Court,
Yes.
to be the guest of the Vice Chancellor,
Mm-hmm.
as we celebrate International Women's Day.
Yes.
Once she finishes her speech, we expect that there will be a march by students and staff.
Yes.
Bearing T-shirts and banners that read "Women Voices Matter" in climate change.
Yes. What time will that be happening tomorrow?
The courtesy call starts at 10 and we finish off at 12 at KUCC.
Yes.
And the march is kicked off at 12 on the dot.
At 12 on the dot. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it from the horse's mouth. So if you will be within Kenyatta University, make sure to come and participate in women empowerment, saying women voices matter. Be part of that. Finally, I want to give each of you a chance to wish a happy International Women's Day to women in your lives that matter, and also to women in general. Let's start with Dr. Regina as we close.
Happy International Women's Day. Thank you for standing with each other. You know, women, we are not enemies of each other. We support each other. Thank you to the women in my life, the women who have said something that has inspired me. Yes. And that gives me the voice to also inspire somebody else.
Exactly.
So to the girl child out there and to the boy child, be inspired, because we are all out to make a better world for all of us.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Dr. Sarah, as we close.
I want to wish every woman and every man and boys in this country happy International Day tomorrow. As we celebrate our women and girls, let us support them. I want to applaud the women in my life who have walked with me, who have supported me, and who have encouraged me. I also do encourage young women to be encouraged and to celebrate themselves and the women in their lives. Thank you.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Susan and Dr. Regina. It has been such a pleasure to have you two. I have learned a lot. You know, you're saying women that have inspired you, and I'm the woman who you have inspired. So I am seeing this transitioning, you know, coming down to young girls and young women at home. And students have closed school. So I believe even a young girl who is in primary school, high school watching, they see there's a future. There's a future and there's a place for them in the society. Thank you so much for coming through. I truly, truly appreciate your presence here. We will see you tomorrow as we practically celebrate International Women's Day. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you have learned a thing or two and you are going to make the right decision with the right information. They say information is power, and we have given you that information on gender equality. So wherever you are at, be it at home, doing household work, at work where you are in, you know, looking for a position in management, in politics, whether you're looking to, you know, to be elected or to be a voter, you have the information right now. So use it to make the right decision. We want to go for a very short break, but when we come back, we are going to be having the conversation on women in film. We are going to have the WIFA conversation. Guys, we have had WIFA here from the first edition, second edition. Now we are going to WIFA third edition, and we are definitely going to look forward to that one. I want to take a bit of feedback before we go. Sheila Mutuma is saying thank you. Very insightful conversations. Ladies, thank you so much. I love that from you. I am going to be getting to the rest of the feedback after the break, but right about now, let's take a very short break. I'll see you on the other side.